got help from the Navigators. I was discipling, and my time to get out of the Navy was due. And I got counsel, and I decided to, in order so that the man that I could work with could survive, I would stay in the Navy. My dad had gone to an auction and just bought a farm for me, knowing I was coming home. My wife is living with her parents, with our daughter. And I wrote to both of them, and I'll see you in about a year, so that I could help one man and disciple him. And I put that priority in my life. And that's been priority in my life ever since. Not over my wife and children now, and not over my family, but it is priority. Now, if I think of George Beverly Shea, I think of excellence. If I think of Billy Graham, I think of excellence. I've gone to Wheaton and walked through there and seen how he was raised as a child. And I followed his life through. It was excellent. When he spoke, he had what he had to say, and it was excellent. If anything ought to be done in excellence, it's discipleship. If anything should be done in excellence, it's discipleship. Now in the Navy, I believe Dawson Trotman planned to do that. And as we did that, we emphasized, where's your man? We emphasized meeting with people. We didn't have Social Security earlier in the Navigators, and I was in the Navigators. We didn't have quiet times, and we didn't have sickness. I don't remember anybody being sick the first 20 years of the Navigators. Could be because we're old now. It's amazing. But I took it serious, and I still take it serious. And as I work with people, I take that serious. And as I worked with one of the fellows I worked with, I asked him, I said, I've met with you for a year and a half. Would you write down what we've covered? And he said, yes, I'll do that. So I'll read it. Now it's hard to read because he says things about me. They're hard. Because you don't want to speak good about yourself. And so it's hard for me to read it. You understand that? But in order to share, you should have share of truth, and this is what he wrote. Okay? Training testimony. Train, to form by instruction, discipline, or drill. To teach as to make fit, qualified, or proficient. Webster's Dictionary. What kind of training have I received early in my Christian life? Thinking about the answer to this question has encouraged me and prompted me to think more deeply of how my life has been changed through training. My training has mostly come with weekly one-on-one meetings with Harve Soderholm, along with the influence of the fellowship of other like-minded believers. Through these meetings and time spent together in other activities, he has taught me in such a way that I am now more fit, qualified, and proficient follower of Jesus Christ than I was a year and a half ago. 2 Timothy 2:2. And the things that you have heard of me in the presence of many witnesses, trust to reliable men who will also be qualified to teach others. After reviewing the 9 points stated in this paper, I noticed that all of them deal with my life being changed. This fact helped me to distinguish training from other forms of teaching. Training is not preaching to a person to give them more head knowledge, but rather living a life in such a way that it can be passed on through multiple generations as demonstrated by the verse above. This paper will look at just a few important aspects of my life that are a direct result of training. I will discuss two important questions. What have I been trained in, and how have I been trained? Understanding the answer to these questions is important because the training process must be reproducible. If I can understand how I've been helped to grow in the Lord, I will in turn be able to help someone else. Number one, look to the Bible for answers. I have been trained not only to look to the Bible for answers to life, but to diligently search it out for myself through study, meditation, memorization, and application. Very early on in my meeting with Harv, I learned that nearly every question I asked him would be answered through a verse or a passage from the Bible. We did not look at what others say about the Bible, and he did not give me answers from his own knowledge, but rather he would have me open to a verse, read it, and think about it for myself. He demonstrated by example that the Bible does have answers, and it is to be used as a guidebook for how to live. Another important part of this point is that he instilled confidence in me and my own abilities to find the answers for myself. The format of the Studies in Christian Living also helped me to develop a habit of going directly to God's Word for my daily life. Acts 17:11 and 2 Timothy 3:14-17. Number two, teaching. Early on, I was exposed to the idea that I would eventually teach someone else the things that I was being trained in. I had doubts about the idea because I felt quite clueless about the Bible, but the simplicity of the process coupled with constant review has instilled a desire in my own life to want to help someone else grow in the Christian life. Exposed to the 7 laws of teaching also contributed to my training in the area of teaching. When I read the 7 laws for the first time, they didn't mean much to me, but after being trained according to them for a year and a half, Acts 18:11, I have developed a greater appreciation for the principles of teaching and a desire to incorporate them into my own life. At every one of our meetings, I am given a real-life demonstration of how to teach according to the principles of the 7 laws. Harvey is teaching me in the basics, and as I discipline my own life in the basics, I become more qualified to help someone else build a foundation on the basics. Luke 6:40, 1 Timothy 3:2, and 2 Timothy 2:2. Point 3, Lordship. The concept of lordship was presented to me most effectively by the pie illustration. It is easy for me to identify with this principle because for almost 10 years I had placed hunting and fishing smack dab in the center of my pie. Harv showed me that Jesus wants to be the center and helped me to begin to put him there. He helped me to see that all aspects of my life relate to each other through whatever is at the center of my life. He helped me see through the Word and by example that Jesus is worthy of being in the center of my pie, 2 Corinthians 5:15. One morning after some encouragement at Harv's, I told God that I saw that this Christian life was for real, and I wanted to put Christ as Lord and live in obedience to Him. Being around other Christians who were committed to the Lordship of Christ also influenced my training in this aspect of the Christian life. 1 Thessalonians 1:6 and Luke 6:46. Obedience, number 4. Some of the most helpful training I received is in the area of obedience. Harv pointed me to verses that emphasize the idea of living a life of obedience and, more importantly, showed me how to be obedient. The 29 verses on being changed into his image were crucial for me to be able on the how-to of obedience, and instilled confidence in me that I can live the victorious life with the help of Jesus Christ. Since becoming a Christian, I have had a burning desire to want to grow and become a mature follower of Christ. The diamond illustration helped me see that if I don't do what I do know, I will not grow. Being trained in these two principles, using a verse to meet temptation, Matthew 4:4 and Psalms 119:11, and gaining specific knowledge through God as I obey him, John 14:21, has been some of the most influential training I have received. James 1:22, James 2:22, 1 Peter 2:24, 1 John 5:3-5, and Proverbs 1:23. Number 5, salvation testimony. Ron will like this. In Book 2 of the Studies of Christian Living, I was challenged with the task of putting my testimony together, my testimony of how I became a Christian. This helped me to start thinking about my testimony, and later Harve and Joyce encouraged me to write mine down. They showed me what a salvation testimony was and helped me to think and work through my own. Most importantly, they graciously helped me to see what actually took place on July 3rd, 2001, the date I put my trust in Christ. Understanding what happened in my own life is important for knowing how to help someone else become a Christian and prepare their own testimony. Listening to other testimonies and reviewing mine with Harve and Joyce helped me to present mine in a clear, concise, and effective way. Harve showed me how I am to be saved by meeting a condition of a promise from God by using the chain illustration. Because of this training, I have been able to give my testimony to numerous Christians who know my story, and have been able to share it with a few non-Christians as well to help them think about how they could become a Christian. Revelation 12:11 and Romans 10:9 and 10. Number 6. Family is priority. I have been trained to put my family as a very high priority. The example of Harve and Joyce's family and seeing the results of putting family first has helped me see the importance of this biblical principle. I have never been pressured by Harve to put my Bible study, our meeting, or Sunday morning fellowship, or spending time with my family. In fact, I have been encouraged to actively pursue time with my family. Over the past year, I've become more and more convinced of the priority of my family by reading the Word and seeing how high God places priority on my family. Mark 5:19, John 19:26-27, Acts 16:34, and 1 Timothy 5:4 and 8. Number 7, the importance of serving. By observing Harve and Joyce in their home and witnessing their relationship with other people, I have received a substantial amount of training on the importance of serving. One of the most powerful ways I've been influenced in this area is by noticing their willingness to serve me and the needs I have. The fact that those who are willing are helping me in the Word are the ones who are most eager to serve me has been the best training to prepare me to pass this concept on in serving others, especially those I help. 2 Corinthians 4:5, Mark 10:45, and Galatians 5:13. Necessity of man to man. What? Number 8, necessity of man to man. How are we going to win the world? Man-to-man discipleship, producing reproducers, teaching faithful men who will be qualified to teach others, a multiplying ministry is the answer. Harve has trained me in this by doing it with me. The fact that I can even write this paper shows that I have at least had some idea of how to help someone else grow and reproduce. One-on-one training is the basics. In the basics, assurance of salvation, scripture memory, quiet time, Bible study, Lordship, prayer, fellowship, witnessing, and much of what has been listed in this paper is essential for having a strong foundation to build on so that it can be reproduced. Harve is trained in such a way that I now have this vision tools to put it into practice. I see the results of the men he has helped and the results of others that are committed to discipleship. I have seen results in what little I have helped my roommate, and I see the results of examples in the Bible. Listening to the tapes of Dawson Trotman speaking on the big job of winning a man for Christ and helping him on has influenced my training in this important point. Harv has helped me to see that the one-on-one is the key to going deep enough with few enough, so that as we are trained, skilled, and prepared, we can help another multiply. Proverbs 27:17, 2 Timothy 2:2, Romans 15:14, and 1 Corinthians 14:31, 1 Thessalonians 4:9 and 10. Number 9, prayer. The most important aspect of prayer that I have been trained in is that it works and it changes things. This has come from being surrounded by a group of people who believe in prayer and experience answers to prayer. I have been able to watch how they pray according to the Word of God, and this has influenced me to pray the same way. I have also seen from the Bible as I read this, this is a condition for answered prayer. Looking at some of the day of prayer sheets from other people has helped me understand how people pray verses for each other, and I in turn have made it a practice to pray verses for others and for my own life. Because I have been trained to know that everything in my life has not been predetermined, I have a joy of knowing that my prayers and my choices have effects on my life and the life of others. Harv has shown me that I can talk to God about what he says in the Word and pray according to what God wants. John 15:7, 1 John 5:14 and 15, and James 5:17 to 18. The points listed in this paper are just a few of the most important areas of my own life that have been changed to training. Hopefully, I've demonstrated the importance of one-on-one discipleship training and shown that how this is an essential part of how we should help people know Christ and make him known, along with other forms of encouragement, sermons, radio programs, books, conferences, and so forth. I'm greatly indebted to Harv and Joyce. It's good. Soderholm, and the help they have given me by investing their time in my life. I know that the only return they would ask of me is to put what I've been trained in into practice by bearing fruit for the glory of God. John 15:8. So that's, I thought, would at least give a start on an idea of what we do. Yes.
He spent time with his family, and he led his sister to the Lord, and now he's studying with his brother-in-law in the scriptures, because he looks at the Lord. And his parents are thinking about it.
You became a believer in 2001. Did I hear that?
Yeah. Now he is working with 5 men now, discipling them, quality guys. One of the fellows he's discipling and has been discipled, he knew in high school, went through high school with, played basketball. This fellow played basketball for the University of Nebraska, went out and got a job coaching, and has just been accepted to be a coach at West Point. And they're buddies, been buddies for years. This fellow,
family children.
no, a single fellow, and he's helped him memorize a couple books of the Bible. And he found out when he applied at West Point, there were 300 applying, and the 2 coaches there were Christian, and he was chosen out of those. So he's there now. But he's still discipling him, and he plans to keep contact with him the rest of their life, because they're such buddies. Fishing, hunting with their kids in high school and that. Christians. Isn't that nice? Yeah. he's thinking about, now he's finishing his master's degree, and he's thinking about a job. Why I'm interested in the possibility of working for this man. Working with or for people that I can identify with who share my biblical value system is particularly attractive to me. I value that the work environment has high standards of integrity, quality, and service. I need to be able to have a great amount of respect for the leadership in a company I work with, and I have that for this. I would feel good working for someone who shares my commitment to discipleship and also strives for excellence in business. I am also attracted to his drive to hard work and produce. This would challenge me to test my own ability to work hard and produce. It's an opportunity to learn. This seems to like be a good opportunity to learn and develop professionally. There are 3 distinct areas I'd like to learn in. Learning this particular profession. This knowledge is foundation for all business and understanding in the field and will help me in my future career endeavor. Perhaps more important is an opportunity to learn how to be successful and relate to people and serve people. And this is this man's strengths. I would also be involved in learning how to make a small business successful, which is more appealing to me than being in a large corporation. Number 3, graphic location. I'd like to stay in Lincoln primarily because of the ministry and fellowship opportunities I have. I'd like to further develop some of the relationship I've established here for several more years. This wouldn't be too difficult if I were not in Lincoln. Just now doesn't seem a good time to relocate. Opportunity to develop an expertise and potential for a long-term fit. With my very broad education, I feel comfortable being involved in many areas of business, but I have no expertise in depth in any one area. I think it would be good to develop an expertise in an area. Accounting seems to be a good area of business to develop the expertise in business and is broadly applicable to a lot of things. It seems like there would be a good potential for a long-term fit. Good fit with my natural personal strengths. The actual work would fit well with my natural attention to detail and the desire for accuracy. Opportunity to produce and contribute. I feel like I need to feel like I'm contributing and able to see results in my efforts. I would like to be able to contribute to the team and produce quality work. I also think this type of work would allow me to see tangible progress in direct efforts. And he says, what are some of my concerns when thinking about working? See, so then he tells his concerns. And what are my expectations? And then he says, what are my strengths and weaknesses? And then he says, questions I'd like to discuss.
We're going to run out of time, so there's a couple of questions I want people to ask and so forth. But what kind of preparation do you do before your man-to-man time? What do you actually cover point by point in your man-to-man? And then how do you after it's all over, so that you're not repeating yourself the next time, how do you take notes?
The simplest thing I found would work is to take a sheet like this and draw a line here and a line there. Got that? 4 squares. In this square, I can write down who I met with, the time I met with him, what we covered, and then what we gave an assignment, what we're going to do the next time. Okay? And verses reviewed, and whatever we covered. Okay? Next week, other side.
Okay.
Next week here, next week here. Turn it over. I get 2 months on a sheet.
Yeah.
When I left Australia, I gave a fellow a stack of sheets this thick of my time meeting with him. Check it off each time. Wish we could do more of that. Now that's not all bad. Okay? So they know what we've done. See?
Yeah.
Now I do it for me, and I have a folder, depending on the people, I have a folder on each person I meet with, just a folder like this. So when a person comes to my home to meet with me, Joyce has 100 definitions, and I can go to the folder and pull out a folder, and this folder is on this man. And in that folder I have the book that I'm doing the Bible study with him, I have what I'm covering with him, I have what we're going over, and then we review. See, and I do that also when we work with a family. So with this particular family, we've been meeting with about 4 years. Now, each time we meet, we go over, we quote the TMS as a family, clear through. And then we start with the book we're working in, like John 1:12, 2:5, 3:16, 4:22, 5:24, 6:63, 7:17, 8:31, 32. And we go through however far they are in the book of John, the book chapter, a verse chapter. And we help with that. So we do that. And then we do study. Now we've developed quiet time, so they're having quiet times, all in the family. Everyone's having his family, he's having his, then this, and he's right now his own quiet time. The dad's a professor at the university, and he has taught his children to have quiet time, and he's taking time to sit with his own children and teach them. He said, if you hadn't have helped me, I would have lost my children. He's probably right. He's a successful man. He's busy. And he's doing discipleship, he's doing evangelism, but he'd lost his children. And he wouldn't mean to. But, see, Joyce tells him, see, I mean, what are you doing with them? Playing games with them? You spend time with them? Or are you busy? He said, well, nobody helped me when I was in school. He said, I did talk in school. My kids could do the same thing. Well, not quite. See, so it helped them. See, so this is family. See, so we do that. Now, it's different with each people we work with, because everyone's different. One fellow, I met with him for a year and a half before he took the whiskey off the top of his refrigerator. And then I opened his drawer. I thought, this is it. And I opened his drawer of his refrigerator, and it's full of beer. But he got the verse, and he got Lordship, and he got rid of it all. And he was an alcoholic. His dad taught him to be an alcoholic when he was 12. And he got rid of it.
What is your capacity? How many people can you meet with?
Yeah, I overdo it. Too many. Yeah, a lot of them. Because I start early and I go late. I may meet with 8 people in one day.
8 sessions in one day. And this is on the road, is it, or is this in Lincoln?
On the road. I leave 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning, and I meet with a farmer before he goes to the field. So I don't take him out of the field. I meet with another farmer, I'll ride in the tractor with him, like Des was doing. I ride in the tractor with him, and we've gone through the field putting on spray on the field. We get to the end, and he forgot to turn his sprayer on. We're reviewing verses. That one again. You know, I was out helping a fellow build a grain bin. I mean, it's a $40,000 grain bin. We're out and we're putting bolts in this grain bin, to build this grain bin, and 40,000 bushel, 40,000 buck grain bin. I mean, it's a big grain bin. You could have a roast game right there. I mean, it really is. It's a big thing. It's 30-some feet across, you know, and 40, 50 feet high. And we're putting this thing up. And at the very bottom, when you set the grain, you go up, and as you go up, then you have a deal on the bottom that seals, so bugs don't go in and everything. And it's a thing you put underneath. It's really sticky. And they gave me and this fellow that I've discipled for 20 years, his dad, the job of putting the sticky stuff on around the bottom. And they didn't have it lift high enough so we could get it in there. And we got sticky stuff on our hands and everything. I mean, we were a mess. See, and it was just terrible. And as we did this, the guys were laughing at us because they didn't lift the bin up high enough, and they knew this was going to happen. They did it on purpose. And we messed up, man. So I mean, we just have a lot of fun working with them. See? Yeah. I mean, it's just right out there where they are.
Yeah. Okay, we need to stop here. Ask Harv questions and Ron at the break. But let me just say that I don't feel like I was ever really helped on how to do man-to-man, the Navigators. And so something like this is a revelation to me.
You were never really helped.
How to have a man-to-man session. Now, I've worked over the years and I've had to develop my own modus operandi, but I just think it's so helpful to hear about how they conduct their man-to-man, and I wanted us to do that in a group and so forth. So, okay.